The old screen door creaked, a familiar protest against the morning's quiet. I stood on the porch, Elara's favorite ceramic mug warm in my hands, steam swirling lazily into the crisp air. The sun, a painter's first stroke, was just beginning to warm the world, turning the pre-dawn chill into a refreshing caress. My soft, worn robe, a comfort against the waking world, swayed gently as I took a slow, deliberate sip of coffee, the dark, rich liquid a comforting warmth in my mouth. Ding dong! The chime shattered the stillness. Before I could even register the sound, Reese was already halfway down the porch steps. He paused, a tall, slightly gangly figure in his uniform, a uniform that seemed to swallow him whole. His eyes, a fleeting moment of contact, met mine, then darted away, shy. I leaned casually against the doorframe, one hand still cradling my mug, the other resting near the weathered wood. "That for me?" I asked, a gentle nod towards the small package clutched in his hands. He took a hesitant step forward, his voice a soft murmur. Said it was urgent. As I took the box, I watched him. He lingered, not retreating, not speaking, simply there. I shifted slightly, and the door remained ajar, an unspoken invitation. His eyes flickered upwards, a flash of surprise, but still no words. A small smile played on my lips. "You look like you weren't expecting to deliver that." Then I turned, a slow, deliberate retreat into the house. Coffee in one hand, the mysterious box in the other. I didn't bother to close the door, didn't look back as I crossed the threshold. The soft creak of the floorboards was the only sound behind me until I heard it, the gentle click of the door. He was inside. I set the box on the entryway table, my coffee still in hand, and turned, just enough to see him. He stood there, a silent sentinel, his expression unreadable, as if he were still charting his next move. I let the silence stretch, a delicate thread between us. "You can just let it rest against the frame," I said softly, nodding towards the door. He moved, slow and uncertain, but he obeyed. The latch settled with a whisper, and the hallway exhaled into a hush, heavier than before. I stepped aside, a subtle invitation. He moved forward, careful, like someone not quite sure they belonged. His eyes finally met mine, waiting. When he stopped just before me, I glanced at his hesitant hand and reached out. Our hands met, a brief, electric touch. His throat worked once, a tight swallow. "It's all right," I murmured, turning my hand gently. "You don't have to be nervous." He reached again, slower this time. His fingers, a whisper light, found their way around mine. I held still, waiting to see what he would do next. His hand remained still and steady near mine, and I realized how close we'd become. The air shifted, charged with a nervous energy, as if neither of us knew what the next breath would bring. I turned fully to face him. He met my gaze, uncertain at first, until I gently rested my hand near his. I let the quiet linger, allowing him to grow accustomed to the stillness. It was as if something settled between us. He stepped in, a subtle movement, and I stayed rooted. He leaned forward, hesitating near my shoulder, as if words were on the tip of his tongue, but couldn't find release. A flicker of tension rose within me, unspoken and uncertain. A slight rustle of fabric near my shoulder caught his eye before he looked away again. I gave a subtle nod, an unspoken affirmation that the quiet was welcome. His hand hovered, then moved gently along my arm, pausing as if unsure of its destination. His movements were tentative, careful, and hushed. I exhaled softly, unsure of what would unfold. A gentle draft brushed the fabric along my shoulder as I subtly adjusted my stance. He remained beside me, his hand relaxed, our eyes meeting in the stillness. "It's all right," I said gently. "You don't have to worry." He gave a small nod, staying close, yet quiet, and I remained still, allowing the quiet to fill the space between us. He stood close beside me as I gently raised his hand, placing it where it felt natural. I let my hand settle briefly over his before lowering it again. We shared a quiet kiss, steady and calm. It held for a few seconds, unhurried, just long enough to be felt. The faint taste of coffee lingered as his hands rested lightly at my sides. As I leaned slightly closer, the fabric of my wrap shifted gently between us. His hands remained gentle, steady at my sides as the quiet stretched between us. The air held a profound stillness. No sound, just the moment settling in around us. I shifted back slightly, stopping when I felt the hallway table behind me. I leaned gently, placing my hands on the edge for support. He stepped closer again, quiet and still. I adjusted my stance, close enough to feel the profound stillness of the space. His hands moved along my arms, the fabric shifting subtly with the motion. Nothing was forced. It all moved gently, without urgency. The air was cooler now, a striking contrast that heightened my awareness of the moment. He leaned in again, and we shared another soft kiss. My hand rested lightly on his back as we stood close. We stayed that way, near, quiet, the silence speaking volumes. Each movement felt more settled, as if we were both easing into the stillness. His hands moved gently, remaining within the space that felt respectful and still. There was no urgency, just quiet presence and steady hands. I wrapped my arms around his neck. He stayed close, a silent anchor beside me. I held him gently, and the fabric behind me shifted slightly against the table's edge. There wasn't a plan, just a quiet moment, held without expectation. I stayed close, unmoving, letting the moment settle around us. I wasn't in a hurry to let go, and neither of us needed to say a word. Honest moment. If you were standing at Elara's door, would you have walked through it too, or waited for an invitation? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading. And if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching.